Hey there, it's Dave, and today's job is to change the transfer case oil and differential oil in my 2012 Kia Sorento all-wheel drive. I bought this car used. It has about 190,000 kilometers or about 120,000 miles, and I'm uncertain if the job has ever been done in the past, so today we're going to take care of it. You're watching Dave's Auto DIY. The actual maintenance schedule, the regular maintenance schedule in the owner's manual is kind of weird for this car. It says to inspect the transfer case oil and differential oil every 60,000 kilometers or 4 years, but doesn't have any interval to change the oil at all. The rough service schedule talks about changing the oil every 120,000 kilometers. Given there's no good way to inspect the oil without actually changing it, I think I'll just follow the rough service schedule for this item and change it every 120. So I'm going to start with the rear differential. Here is the drain plug on the rear differential. It takes a 24 millimeter socket, and the fill plug also takes 24 millimeters, is around the rear, and we will get to that through this opening in this cross member, and I'll put my socket on there. Always loosen the fill plug before you open the drain plug. You don't want to get stuck having drained the oil out and then being unable to open the fill plug. You'll end up having to get it towed to get that plug out and service somewhere else. So I've got that fill plug loose. Just take it out by hand. I've got an oil pan positioned underneath just in case a little bit drips out when I open up the fill plug. Nothing's dripping out. Oh, spoke too soon. It is dripping just a little bit. Now I'll move to the drain plug, 24 millimeter. Make sure my drain pan is centered underneath. While we're waiting for that to drip, I'll take a look at the magnetic drain plug, clean it off, see if there's much metal shavings on there. There is not much. It looks very good for a car that is got 120,000 miles on it. Now mine didn't seem to have a crush washer when it came off. Not sure if it ever did, if whoever did this previously left it out. I have some crush washers. I'm going to put a new crush washer on before reinstalling the drain plug. You can swirl the drained oil around in the drain pan to see if you see a lot of metal flakes, which could be an indication of excessive wear in the differential. Mine seems to be okay. So I went ahead and reinstalled the drain plug. So both the rear diff and the transfer case take GL5 type 75W90 gear oil. I'm using this Valvoline Flex Fill. It's a plastic bag. I've tried using bottles with pumps before to pump it into the fill hole. It gets a little bit messy. I saw this product. I'm going to see if you can just put this into the fill hole and kind of squish this bag. Maybe it'll be a little bit easier. So it seemed like a good idea, but in this particular application, I found it hard to get the little plastic nozzle on the bag cleanly into the hole on the differential. So instead, I attached a plastic hose and squeezed the oil in that way. Now this might be a good chance to ask, if you're still watching, if you wouldn't mind hitting subscribe. It's absolutely free and it'll really help me build the channel. I just kept squeezing the bag until about 0.7 liters was in the differential and it starts to drip back out the fill hole. A nice slow drip now. So I'm going to go put the fill plug back in. tighten it up a little bit by hand. And snug it up with the 24mm socket. And that's it. So moving on to the front, this is the transfer case. There's a 24mm drain bolt right here, but we'll do that second. First, we'll get the fill bolt, which takes about a 10mm. I don't have a 10mm. I'm going to use a 3/8 inch Allen socket to get off the fill bolt first. This is awkward, trying to work around the exhaust. But got my ratchet in there. Yeah, that's tight. That was on there real tight. I had to get my heat gun. I don't have a torch. I put my heat gun on that bolt, on that fitting for a few minutes to get it warm, and then I was able to get it loose. Again, I've got a drip pan positioned what I hope is underneath, and I'll take out the fill plug in case something just drips out a little bit as we remove the fill. There we go. That's the fill plug. Now I'll go ahead and remove the drain plug. And we'll let that drain out for a few minutes. So just like on the diff, clean up the magnetic plug, check to see that there isn't too many metal filings on it, and put on a new crush washer. So that's pretty much done dripping now. I will reattach the drain plug, thread it in by hand. This uses the same GL5 75 W90 gear oil as the differential. I'm using the same technique with that hose on the flex pack. Get it in the fill hole. And I'll just gently squeeze the bag until it starts to overflow. It should also take 0.7 liters, so about 70% of this bag. This takes a while. This gear oil is thick. I'm working in a cold garage, so it takes a while to squeeze the oil through that hose. And that's it. It's overflowing. I'll just let that drip until it's close to done dripping, and I'll reinsert the fill plug. Let's clean this up a little bit. Spray it with a bit of brake cleaner. And so that's all there is to changing the differential oil and transfer case oil in a 2012 Kia Sorento with all-wheel drive. I'm going to take it for a quick test drive, bring it back, look under just one more time, make sure there aren't any leaks, and I'll call it job done. So I hope you learned something. I hope you hit subscribe, and I hope to see you next time on Dave's Auto DIY.